What are FTA agreements? FTA stands for Free Trade Agreements. These are commercial import-export treaties signed by two countries. Sometimes it can be a group of countries to lower or eliminate customs barriers. The main purpose of such agreements is to decrease the customs taxes and encourage the free trade of goods and products between the countries. How can this be of any help to you as an importer? Well, it can save you tons of money and go all the way to changing your trading strategy completely. Most beginner importers choose to import from China because of their endless and very cheap labor power. The stigma that Chinese products got over the years is not of the highest class, and that is because of numerous times when the products arrived defected or did not function properly. The Chinese also earned this reputation due to their very liberal piracy rulings. You could have copied and manufactured almost any kind of branded product you liked. The situation in China has changed positively in the recent years in terms of the material's quality and as of the growing popularity of Alibaba. But they still don't have any free trade agreements with almost no countries. What does that mean? That a lot of the products you import from there will be taxed once they arrive to your country. The tax level and percentage is decided by the HS classification code of each product. The import tax percentages vary from country to country, but you should know it can take a big portion of your total shipment value. An example for you. If you are an importer from the United States and you wish to import Adidas sneakers, you will have to pay an 8.5% import tax. That means that if you import 20,000 pairs for a total of, let's say, $800,000, plus the shipping and insurance costs, you will have to pay about $70,000 of import taxes. The reason the import rate is so high on imported sneakers in the US is because of the domestic competition they had to deal with. Back in the 20s of the last century, the rate on imported sneakers climbed all the way up to 48%, and that's a demonstration on why there are import taxes on the first place. Besides adding funds to the federal government, these taxes helped to protect the local manufacturing industry and especially a small company called New Balance. These taxes give local products a competitive edge over the competition. Now, what does that have to do with free trade agreements? Well, when countries sign on such an agreement, the import taxes slowly decrease and eventually, after an agreed period, disappear completely. This opens the door for importers from both sides to start or increase trade. In order to import a product under a free trade frame, it must withstand some conditions, which of course vary from one agreement to the other. The most basic principle you should know about is that the product you want to import and get a tax exempt for must be actually produced or manufactured in the country you're importing from. For example, the United States has a free trade agreement with Canada, so generally that means there should be no import taxation on products being sold from Canada to the US and vice versa. But if you have imported cellular phones from China to Canada and now want to import them into the United States, you will have to pay import taxes because the phones were not made in Canada. There are cases which allow tax-free import on products that have been processed or altered sufficiently in order to be called an origin product. That means that you might be able to import fabrics from China to Canada, design and sew the clothes you wanted, and the products will be considered as a Canadian origin product, and you will not pay import taxes for it. You have altered and changed the original imported product and turned it into a new product. That's a situation when you are not obligated to pay the import taxes. Let's talk about some of the most known free trade zones currently operating. The United States has FTA agreements with Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Israel, Jordan, South Korea, Mexico, Morocco, Nicaragua, Oman, Panama, Peru, and Singapore. If you plan to import products made in the above-mentioned countries to the United States, for most products, you will not pay any import tax. Another big trade zone is the European Union. It includes most of Europe's Western countries and more than 30 other non-European countries. All original products trading between them is import tax-free. This should open up your horizons, as you now know to check which countries has free trade agreements with your country, or the country you plan to import to. For example, let's say we have an importer who lives in Mexico and that he now plans to import Belgian waffle machines. He will probably first check prices of waffle machines in the Far East countries, as the prices should be the lowest. But as Mexico has a free trade agreement with the European Union, which means it might be an excellent idea to look for waffle machine suppliers in Belgium or Germany. He might pay more money for buying the product, but will save the tax import rate and possibly get a better quality product from a more established brand. Always make sure to be up to date on which countries have free trade agreements with your country. When you are in the sourcing supplier stage of the import process, check with your supplier if he can provide a certificate of origin. It is a document issued by the Chamber of Commerce, which serves as proof that a product is actually originated from that country. It has happened in the past that suppliers claim their product is manufactured in their country, but it was actually imported from the Far East. In case you import from a free trade country but will not have an original signed certificate of origin, the product will be considered as a non-original product and you will have to pay the import taxes. The American version is simply called a certificate of origin, while the European version for the document is called a Euro 1 form. Some of the additional requirements a product of origin must meet are that the importer must always present the original signed version of the certificates. A printed copy will not be acceptable by the customs authorities. Also, the shipping of the goods must be direct. This means that if you export a product from Europe to the United States, release it from customs there, and then move it to Mexico, the origin rules will not apply and you will have to pay the import taxes. There are examples of origin certificates from various countries you can download at the appendix section.